Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now, there's a big effort underway to coax young Nigerians to the polls in the upcoming 2023 presidential election. And one of the country's most respected economists and entrepreneurs, Atedo Peterside, has thrown his considerable weight behind the Get Out the Vote drive in an attempt to reverse the trend that sees less than 10% of the tens of millions of young people in this country registering to vote. Mr. Peterside's ANAP Foundation, an NGO that promotes good governance, has teamed up with many young and not so young Nigerians, including Aisha Yusufu, Dike Chukwumerije, Yemi Adamalekun, Falz the musician, Bishop Matthew Kuka, Muhammadu Sanusi, and numerous others to appeal to young Nigerians aged 18 plus to register en masse and collect their voter cards. And the founder of Stanbic IBTC Bank and founder and president of ANAP Foundation, Atedo Peterside, joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Delightfully honored to have you here.
Hi, I'm happy to be here as well.
Right. Do you believe that young voters can potentially play a key role in deciding the outcome of the 2023 elections?
Of course they can. They're the majority. They're the main demographic in Nigeria. And I will just go back in history, down memory lane. You see, the elections on June 12, 1993, that was the first elections where we had mobile phones in Nigeria. I remember when I came out to vote that morning, the two candidates were Abiola and Tofa, in Victoria Island outside my home. When I came out, you would have thought it was a youth gathering at the polling booth. Nowadays, including 2019 presidential election, when I come out in Victoria Island and you see those waiting to vote, it looks like an old people's home. The youths are absent. I'm talking about Victoria Island.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's the same all over the country.
Yes, I see what you mean.
But surely that problem exists in many parts of the country.
And arguably, as you said, up to 2/3 of Nigeria's population is under 35. But politicians, political parties, and even civil rights groups, have they not always connected with the youth vote?
No, I think two things have happened. You know, the youths have been disappointed, and when they've been disappointed, and please, I don't blame anybody. It's easy to get disappointed in this environment. It's easy to get disillusioned. Just look at the unemployment rate. We're talking about close to 40% for youth unemployment. So if you have such a high unemployment rate, people had high expectations from their country, and they've gotten nothing. It's difficult to motivate them to keep faith and say, look, you can be part of the solution. If anything, they feel let down. They feel that Nigeria has pulled the first one on them. And so I don't blame people who are queuing up to emigrate. Well, that's one response. But guess what? 200 million Nigerians, all of us cannot possibly emigrate. So some people must stay back and solve the problem. You know.
So talking about solving the problem, what exactly is the ANAP Foundation trying to do and achieve?
Okay, I think the first thing we are trying to achieve is that a defective process will lead to a poor outcome. When you have the youths being the main demographic, in particular educated youths in Nigeria, and they stay out of the election process, effectively, they have made every other person outside of their own group to have a bigger say in their affairs. But think about it, it's the youth that have the future. It's the youth future we're planning for. So if they opt out, who becomes the dominant influence? Usually it becomes the sort of illiterate voters, the older voters. Now, it is the educated youth in every country that are actually most able to behave in a way that frightens politicians into delivering on the economy.
So is that your target audience?
Our target audience, yes, is youth generally. But I'm just explaining that the biggest,
that is particularly important.
Those
right.
who are mostly absent are the educated youth.
Right.
And let me explain the other reason, because, and I don't want to insult anybody or any grouping, but the illiterate youth, even when they're disillusioned, often register and get their voter's card. They are disillusioned and they believe they don't have any faith in any solution from politicians, but they believe, you know what, this bastard needs me. So on election day, if I have my voter's card, he will give me 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira. Let me at least take it off the bastard, because I know I won't see him again.
Yeah.
But it's fine by me. If I register and I get 1,000 to vote, don't forget there are different elections. House of Assembly, House of Rep, Senate.
So he could make a
I get 6,000, and then if the guy wants to do what he likes, he can have a field day. But the thing is that, unfortunately, that kind of mindset further empowers the bad politician, because he knows that he gets elected by people who don't expect anything from him. And guess what? If you don't expect anything from somebody, then most times he will give you nothing. So we want to change that game and somehow find a way to motivate all the rest of the youths and say, you cannot do this to yourself. I didn't say you must run for office. Some of you can and should, but at least come out and make yourself a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you are very familiar with the UK. You know, after Brexit, when Theresa May called a snap election, the youth turnout was particularly high in that election.
Absolutely.
And they gave her a bloody nose.
That is
because
very
they came out, most times they didn't even know who they were voting for.
Yeah.
They were voting against the Tory party.
Absolutely.
That is the power that youth can have and should have. And those were educated youths.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So we need that dynamic in Nigeria.
And do you think that, because I mean that dynamic has not been there, obviously, which is why you're out there trying to motivate them to sort of use the power that they have. Do you think that there is perhaps the danger that young people who came out, for example, for the End SARS protests, and you could see their capacity and their potential and their yearning as they stood on the streets there, that they'll be discouraged by all the shenanigans, and the sort of Lagos Lekki shooting panel report and the white paper that followed, that they may now be less trusting of that system and therefore less likely to turn out at the next election?
But the point I'm making, you're right, but the point, yes, is likely, but that's a vicious cycle. So because some things have gone wrong, you then get disillusioned, and because you opt out and you're disillusioned, people who don't really care about your future now get empowered and they decide your future. So you've got to break that cycle. The way to break that cycle is to go out and campaign. And I'm hoping that you, Charles, will join us and go after all those youths and say, hang on a second. Disillusionment and that vicious cycle of withdrawal is not going to lead to change. What will lead to change is when you come back into the system, like those kids in the UK who came after Brexit with their anger to come and vote and make their voices heard. So you've got to claim your birthright.
But of course, there was a specific strategy in the UK when those kids were brought in, because I mean, in spite of the fact that they could see things in their perception going wrong all around them, they still didn't connect until a definite strategy was put in place that targeted them and went to places that they go to with specific types of adverts on social media and those kinds of things. And also education, saying, well, you know, this is where you can go and get a voter's card. This is the address. This is the process by which you do it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but you know, the truth is that, and I will always be honest with you and with the viewers, it's a lot easier to register in the UK. In fact, I'm sure you're familiar. In the UK, they almost come hunting for you.
Absolutely.
They send stuff to your house, to
and
your
you
doorstep,
just fill it in
to your doorstep. So you have to.
And they put a stamped envelope
in Nigeria. Sometimes you have to use your own airtime to go online, do something that, let's hope it works. Then you've got to make an appointment to go in for biometrics. Now, if you're in a place like Lagos, the nearest place to you, there's no appointment available. They give you an appointment somewhere. It costs you money to get up and move. And heaven help you if you get there on that day, they have a problem, there's no light or something. So it becomes more expensive. But that, I'm saying that is not the end of the story. there are also many youths who tell you, and I like people who are honest. They tell you point blank, I have no voter's card. I have no plans to vote. Convince me why I should bother. So that our task is to convince those ones, plus those whom make a half effort in the sense that they either fill a form online and give up in the process of trying to get their biometrics that becomes too difficult, or they even succeed in doing that. But when it's time to pick up the voter's card, again, sometimes they're disappointed. You arrive at the place, they tell you, oh, sorry, not today, come back tomorrow. The card is not here. Or they can't find your card in the correct place. You're supposed to start looking in other places nearby. So when something becomes a bit untidy and expensive, some people will give up. What I'm saying is, there are different aspects to the problem, including those who honestly look you in the face and tell you they had no plans to register. They had no plans to take part in any election because they are frustrated, they are disillusioned. In fact, really, they want out of Nigeria if possible. And there's one more comment I must make, when I said that 200 million people just cannot leave Nigeria. Whether we like it or not, we're the country with the most black people in the world. So 1 in 5 Africans is a Nigerian, something like that. The other thing I'll say is that, I'm also tired of people bringing stories about, oh, there's one Nigerian somewhere in Australia or Germany or Canada or somewhere who has done a fantastic thing. Oh, that is now the head of XYZ. For me now, it's boring. What does that prove? That out of 200 million people, you can find one person who can excel in Germany. Was there anybody really in doubt about that? If you really thought that it's impossible for one Nigerian to excel somewhere overseas, then you must be saying that you thought we were an inferior race, which we are not. So therefore, the big challenge is not whether everybody can immigrate and go and get one top job in some other person's country. Sometimes you complain, when you get there, you complain about glass ceiling. It's their country, it's not yours anyway. So if you want to...
Absolutely.
So the issue is that even they look at you in those countries and they respect you more if you will go back and fix your own country.
Absolutely.
Now, I know it's unfair. Young couples, people have families to raise and so on. If the economic challenge is too difficult, you've got to go to a place where you can earn enough money to educate your family. But there are others, even those who are successful abroad, those who are in Nigeria in the large numbers, who have to join the action of doing something to improve our lot.
So what's your strategy then for those people, if you like, call them the dissenting ones, who you go to them?
We're going to use all the tricks of the trade in terms of reaching out to them via all sorts of influencers, be it from entertainment industry, from various walks of life. That's why even the group of people that we put together initially, the 18 people, that is just 3 people from different walks of life, from each of the 6 geopolitical zones. That's not the end of it, that's the beginning. So the idea is that we want more people to buy into the idea. That's why I said I'd like you to buy into the idea.
Well, I was going to say it's a very, very interesting cross-section of people that you've got there. I mean, you really have crossed the whole of society.
Yes, somebody told me you have a bishop, I have a musician, I have a rapper, you have a rapper. But that's Nigeria. We have everything in Nigeria. So even some people even complain that that our own activity is not represented. Of course, you cannot have every single. If you're choosing 18 people,
yes.
But somebody said, oh, there's nobody from the media, journalist is not there. Of course, there's no soccer player. But we're hoping all those people will come on board.
Eventually.
Yeah, not even immediately, if they can.
Please stay with us. We want to talk with you some more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with Atedo Peterside, founder of Stanbic IBTC Bank and founder and president of ANAP Foundation. Stay with us.